So sounds like everything is looking good right now. So everyone, welcome to CATALYZE. My name is Michelle. I am the founder of Women in Climate. And this is, I believe, our fourth CATALYZE. And I really wanted to start CATALYZE because I wanted the women in our community to have a chance to speak more often, to have a chance to share their work with our community, and for us to support in whatever way that we can. So I'm very happy that we have Selina, Hazel, and Alba today to share their work with us. So our agenda today is I'm going to do a quick 5-minute intro just to give you an overview of Women in Climate. And then Selina is going to present for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to do 5 minutes of Q&A. In the networking doc, there is a Q&A section at the end, and in case you just came in, I'll drop the document here again, but there's a Q&A tab. So if you have any questions, I will go there at the end to just check in and ask our speakers. And then we'll have 5 minutes of closing. So I hope you can stay through and listen to all our incredible speakers. As I mentioned, my name is Michelle, and I was living in New York, but I'm a little bit of a nomad right now, and I'm based in Toronto. And I started Women in Climate together with Stephanie, who is our beloved community builder, who just hosted a 70-person dinner yesterday in New York. We might even have some folks that attended that dinner. I know Melissa and potentially a few others did, but that's probably our largest dinner yet. And our first dinner was held in February of 2022. We hadn't formed or incorporated as a nonprofit yet. And I put a dinner on Eventbrite for 12 people at a vegan restaurant, and we had 12 people show up. And now, we have 30 person dinners with wait lists. And yesterday we had a 70-person dinner, which is really incredible. And this is all made possible by our volunteers. We have 32 city leads across 18 cities. Really incredible. So if you are interested in bringing Women in Climate to your city, in the networking doc, in the links tab, there is a link to, you can get some info on how to become a city lead. And since then, we've done events at South by Southwest, at COP27, at New York Climate Week, and it's been a bit of a wild ride. So just a quick note about Women in Climate. Our goal is to create a joyful and safe space for more women to learn and talk about climate. There is no climate experience necessary to join our community. And our goal is to help more women get started on their personal and professional climate journey. And we're also really passionate about giving women, climate leaders, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts a platform to share their solutions and ideas, and CATALYZE is one of those projects that helps us do that. And we are a global organization. We've done events across Europe, across North America, hoping to get Asia on the map soon, and other continents as well. But again, if you are interested in becoming a city lead, there's some information. And in our Slack channel, there's also a Slack channel just for city leads. So let me drop the link to our Slack here so that you have that handy in case you're not there yet. And we recently just released a big project called the Speaker Database, and we launched it with about 100 speakers, and there are now over 200 speakers in the database. And the idea is to get more women onto panels, sharing their ideas, sharing their solutions. I definitely want to get this going for COP28 and for New York Climate Week as well. So if you are a speaker, if you know event organizers, please share this resource. It is free to list your profile, and it's free to use the database as well. And I've actually gotten a few interested people in just having me speak about careers and stuff like that. So it's been a fun time. Now, If you are in a position to support us financially, we would love any support. We have IT expenses, and it's nice to do something for our volunteers. So we are a 501c3 charity, and if your company has donation matching or Benevity, we are on there as well. I could drop the link later on, but you can also find the link to donate on our website. We would really, really greatly appreciate it. Now, we're going to start with our first presenter today, Selina, who is the founder of Sustainacy, based in Berlin. Selina, I will let you take it away.
Yes, hello. Hello also from my side. Thanks, Michelle, for having me. I'm very honored to speak next to Hazel and Alba. So yeah, we'll start by telling a bit about myself. So could you go to the next slide, please? Yes. So important to know is probably that I'm from Munich, which is in the south of Germany. And I love this area because, as you can see on the right, we have the privilege to be surrounded by beautiful mountains, the German Alps, and beautiful lakes. So from early on, I felt this connectedness to nature. And as you can see on the next slide, this is also why I love to go hiking, for example, as you can see on the picture with my dog, to go on bike rides, to go for a run, basically everything that's outside. And I would say from an early childhood on, I was always connected to nature. However, my start into the climate area actually was through the animal movement. So when I was a child, I always wanted to work for organizations like WWF. And then I did some volunteering in Southeast Asia, and this was the time where I first encountered substantial living conditions for the first time. And I got more interested in the topic, more conscious about my consumption. I was educating myself. Then I also had a phase where I tried a little bit of activism, as you can see on the right. So this was still before the climate blues that we have a lot in Germany. So, for example, a person would sit on the street with a sign, and then you would talk with the people around. However, I was also always interested in understanding, okay, why is it sometimes so hard to take sustainable decisions? Because we all know, having the knowledge about it is something, and then actually engaging or doing also what we know is a whole different story. So I also sometimes see myself then, taking an alternative that's maybe not the most sustainable one. So I was after my education behavioral science, which was exactly looking into that. I was thinking, okay, what do I know and how can I have the biggest impact? And as we spend 1/3 of our time at work, I thought, okay, when I choose an employer, I'm either part of the solution or part of the problem. And as in the same time, there was a study launched in Germany that showed that CEOs actually want to be more sustainable with their companies, but it's very difficult also to engage the employees because they're lacking holistic solutions. And this is basically how I decided then to start my own company. And on the next slide, I will tell you a little bit more about it. Could you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, perfect. Oh, no, I'm on previously. Or is it? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I decided to co-found Sustainacy together with Ariana. She's also in the audience today. And what we are doing is basically we encourage employees to take more sustainable decisions and actions. And we do so by leveraging on the principles of behavioral science, gamification, and a little bit of AI. So just to give you a quick overview, what we are doing is we, in our employee app, we start with some learning modules. So to help raise awareness on the topic of sustainability, but also to show employees how their behavior is actually impacting the environment and also their companies. And on the second picture, you can see is also what we do is bridging these intentions, basically from the learning modules to also to observable actions. So we use some kind of tricks and mechanisms from behavioral science that really help people to keep up their motivation and facilitate to develop more new sustainable habits and also to stick with them. And last but not least, as we also working in the corporate environment, it's very important to also recognize the effort that the employees are doing. So we also offer like sustainable rewards. So the employees can, for the different steps they're doing in our tool, can earn points and then get sustainable rewards for it. So this is a very brief overview. Could you go to the next slide, please? Is it me or I cannot see it? This is
I think I clicked the link.
Yes, somehow this is our website. I mean, that's also good. If you want to have more information, you can go to sustainacy.de. But yeah, maybe then I think, yes, let's go back to the presentation. Yes. So why is it important? So first of all, why is like behavior important? First of all, when you take the broader level, I wrote there's no sustainable world without sustainable behavior, because as we know, climate change is human-made, and it's a multitude of unsustainable practices and decisions that have led us to the situation we are in now. And as we can see on the right on the picture, this is the statistics from the UK, 9% come from direct behavior change. So this would be from changing how we commute, how we eat, and so on. On the bottom, you see the 53%, it's from actually adopting new behaviors. So adopting new technologies, for example, heat pumps or electric cars, where we also need to understand how can we facilitate the switch and people actually taking the step. And the last part is the supply side. So this is not directly linked to consumers or individuals in generals, but more to farmers and businesses. But even here, we could argue that, you know, even those depend on the support, for example, for public policies. So behavior somehow is linked everywhere. And when we come back to the employee level, we can argue the same, right? So it's employees that take daily decisions inside the company and decide if the company is taking a sustainable or not so sustainable path. And of course, also, especially in Europe, we face more and more regulations in that regard. So in some companies, the scope 3 emissions, which could be from carbon, from employee commuting or business travels, can make a big share of their total carbon footprint. Next slide, please. Yes. So if I could have a magic wand, talking about behavior, I would say that I would give everyone the capability and opportunity to care about sustainability and the motivation to act accordingly. What I mean by that is that, of course, sometimes taking sustainable choices can be expensive, can be time consuming, so it's not always that easy. So my wish would be that everybody has the same chance and really the same physical and financial and so on conditions that they can actually care about sustainability. And what I mean about motivation, I also wrote down another example. So this comes from positive psychology, and this says that I would love that we would focus much more on the gain perspective. So what can we actually achieve from behaving more sustainable? So an example would be, okay, it's not about I cannot use my car anymore, but for example, yeah, if we have car-free cities, how would the air change? How would it impact our health? How would it, like, everything could be more green, and how would it look like? So this is one of my wishes. And last but not least, coming from an economics background as well, definitely had to write down fair, what I call real prices. So that would mean pricing externalities into the costs, because as you can see on the right, this is definitely not the case yet. Next slide, please. Yes, so to finish, I was talking a lot about behavior and also about individuals, but I want to make sure that I don't want to say that the individuals are those who are responsible. Definitely not. The whole system has to change, but we should also not forget that our behavior counts, because what we observe right now is, first of all, how we behave and also what we think is the right thing to do impacts how others behave. So we have an impact on the people around us. And what we can see now, for example, from the corporate side, they change because, of course, regulations change, but also because the consumers, they actually demand higher sustainability standards. And looking at the fight for talents, also they have to do something for their employees. So employees nowadays, of course, they want to have salary, but they also want to have purpose and good sustainability standards. So I think we shouldn't underestimate that factor. And of course, we can solve this problem only through exchange and collaboration. And I think Women in Climate is one great example where it's really nice to see so many great people coming together, exchanging and supporting each other. So I would just offer you to feel free to reach out if there's anything I can be helpful with, if it's something behavioral science related, entrepreneurship, or whatever. I'm always happy to discuss with you and connect with you. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for listening.
Wonderful, Selina. Thank you for sharing your background and sharing sort of your journey with Sustainacy as well. We have time for some questions. Is there anyone in the audience? You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask Selina a question, or you can put it in the document as well. But maybe I'll kick us off. Selina, do you have an ideal customer for Sustainacy? Like what does this individual or what does this organization look like?
Yes, definitely good question. So we are focusing at the moment on medium and large sized companies because in Europe they face more and more regulations, so they have to actually report among others on Scope 3 emissions. And over time, we learned that we have to focus more on companies that have taken first steps. So they already tried a little bit in the field of sustainability, because otherwise we're having more an educational role on the companies, which is costing us way too much time. And what we see from the market, as I mentioned, consumers put a huge pressure on the companies. So from our experience, from the demand side, usually consumer goods companies are those who need the solution the most. So also when we look at our clients, those are heavily represented.
How has the uptake been so far? Is the German market responding well? Are there other areas in Europe or elsewhere that are responding to this service?
Yes, so we see also that in France and the UK, something like similar movements are happening, but for now we really focus on the German market because we are most familiar with the space, with the regulations, also of course network wise. We have stronger connections to Germany, but definitely later on we want to extend to what we call DACH region. So this is Germany, Austria and Switzerland, but also to the whole European Union, looking at the developments of the upcoming regulations.
Got it. When you said DACH, I was like, direct air capture? I definitely have heard of the DACH region, but like now everything's just like mixed up in my brain. Anyone else have a question for Selina? We've got one from Lori here. Do you see the need or opportunity to change the actions for each country or region?
Lori, I'm not sure if I understand you correctly. So do you mean if this would be an approach that could be used more on a country or regional level?
Yeah, I was curious. I had just written a book, and when I was doing a lot of the research, companies are at such different levels with sustainability that sometimes the actions, for example, taken in the United States would be very different than the way that you would take a very similar action in another country or region. So I just wondered if you had started to think about that. I know you just described kind of the rollout of markets.
No, it's an interesting question, because also I didn't really mention it, but one of the things I also started with Sustainacy is that I observed that, for example, in Germany, behavioral science is not so prominent yet. When we compare to the UK, they already have a lot of units, and also now it's starting to be more adopted in the sustainability space, but it's quite recent. The case for the US might be a bit different. So for me, it was also one of the motivations to actually promote the science and really show, okay, sometimes with very easy interventions, we can have big changes. And, you can have the greatest policies and the greatest technologies. If nobody adopts them, they're kind of useless. And of course, also communication plays a huge role. When it comes to then, implementing those things on a country level or a regional level, the approaches might always be a bit different for things such as social norms or like cultural values. So I don't think there would be like a one solution fits all, and you always have to check what are the interventions that work well in the region and do some research about the factors I just mentioned. But I know that, for example, also in the US, there are in general like behavioral science units, and now it starts slowly to be adopted for the sustainability space. So I think, yes, it's possible, but you always have to take into account the different factors.
Yeah, that localization piece is important, Lori, as you bring up, and that local culture and what's important to them and how they, the behavior science of like, cultures is really interesting and at play here as well. Ishrak, I see you have a question, but if you can hold it to the end and we have time at the end, we'll come back to you as we need to move on to the next speaker right now. So thank you for your understanding. And Selina, thank you so much for sharing with us about Sustainacy.
Thank you.
Next, I am going to bring to the stage here Hazel. I'm gonna add the spotlight. And Hazel is the founder and CEO of Ecolytics, and I will let Hazel take it away.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Excited to be here and speak with you all. So as Michelle said, I'm the founder of Ecolytics, and we go to the next slide. I'll tell you a little bit about what brought me to that point. So this slide actually shows kind of a dual purpose. That's both tell you a little bit about myself, but then also all the places that I've worked on climate. So that's me presenting at Ecolytics at a Techstars program. But before I had the opportunity to found the company, if you look on the right side, I had the opportunity to get my degree from Duke in environment and sustainability. And I worked on climate pretty much across the globe in Geneva, Switzerland, in Beijing, China. And then I also worked for Greenpeace in DC. So across those experiences, I was working on impact investing, corporate sustainability and responsibility, and then also doing data analytics. And so that's, while Greenpeace is very much known for their activism, I was actually kind of in an office doing data analytics. So definitely not the cooler part of that, but I had this kind of unique combination of experiences allowed me to really find these pockets that could be filled within the environment, sustainability, social impact fields. So a number of those things were being able to see the opportunity for automation, that I was going through a lot of manual processes with helping companies through corporate sustainability, and realizing that being able to harness data and create more automated processes really save companies a ton of time and money and get them over that hurdle of taking action. And also having that activist kind of background to working for a nonprofit like Greenpeace really helped me see kind of from the other side of, all right, let's get companies from taking that first step, but then also what is that highest level that they can take. So all these experiences really added up together and led me to found Ecolytics, the company that I'm currently working on, and I'll tell you a little bit more about in the next slide. So really what our platform boils down to is helping companies take action, and every feature of our platform is geared towards that. So when we first start working with companies, the platform first measures their impact. And so for so many companies that seems vague. So we make that very clear through data, and make that process as easy as possible by automating what we can automate in it, and helping them see that full picture of their company with the data. And so once all that data is collected into the platform, we create what's kind of like a roadmap to help them improve. So they always have that next step in front of them, like Selina was talking about, in taking those insights and turning them into action on the consumer side. We do that for companies. And then the last piece of it is what's almost like a status page for their impact. So, as consumers and employees, we often, want to know what companies are doing on their social impact, on sustainability and climate, but maybe they pull together an annual impact report. With a tool like this, you can actually see where they are in real time. And on the company side, that helps prevent greenwashing and creates that ultimate level of trust with all your stakeholders. So with kind of our key insight in this too, is that businesses come to us with this desired outcome, that whether it be really, I just want to take my first step on sustainability, I want to, I hear all these pressures from the market, but don't really know where to start. Or a lot of the companies we're working with now are wanting to become B Corp certified, which, for those of you who don't know, is really that high level of both social and environmental impact and the highest kind of level of certification out there for working on social and environmental impact for companies. So with our platform, we fill that gap between if you just want to get started or if you want to reach those highest levels, we're able to help you with that. And in that way, Ecolytics really becomes this business tool for companies that when you think about how, certain business functions like sales and marketing, they all have these tools that help make the most of their time and money put into sustainability, the sustainability field, and doing this work really doesn't have that. And so that's what we're trying to help with for companies. So that gets a little bit into the bigger picture on the next slide, that again, enabling this systems change that for so long companies functioned on, only looking at profit numbers. And with a tool like Ecolytics, they're able to know their impact and use that data to then improve their business so it can focus on not just profit, but that triple bottom line, also focusing on planet and the people. So while we're working with companies on this individual level, the goal with Ecolytics is to work with companies in aggregate and create a more sustainable and socially responsible economy. And that gets a little bit into my magic wand too. So on the next slide, that would really be what, if I could wave a magic wand, that would be what I would be looking for. And there are definitely some encouraging signs in the market towards this. Sorry, these graphs are a little small, but you can see the number of companies that are working on their greenhouse gas emissions, that are becoming B Corp certified, that are the number of investors that are looking to invest in sustainable companies from all these different angles. The need for companies improving their social and environmental impact is just skyrocketing. So that's, while it would be if I could wave my magic wand, we're definitely moving in the right direction too. So I think last slide here. And so similarly, that even though you may not be running your own business, we all work for a business, we all buy from businesses. And so we often talk about how businesses are responsible, which is true for the majority of carbon emissions, but individuals have really shown their power with changing markets, that, like Selina mentioned, kind of this rise of conscious quitting, that employees are quitting based on their own values. We see a market for sustainable CPG goods, for more sustainable food products, only buying products that are B Corp certified. So as both that consumer, that employee, you really have a power in creating this movement, ushering this transition, and that definitely shouldn't be undermined. And you have that power to make a change with your dollars, with your voice. So that's what we're trying to help usher, but we definitely all play a part in this. So it's so great to speak with you, all of you. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, email me if you have any questions, but happy to answer a couple right now.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Hazel. All right. I saw a little bit of activity in the spreadsheet for the Q&A, but I feel like everyone's doing a pretty good job of posting your questions here on the chat as well. So please feel free to raise your hand or put a question in the chat. But I guess, Hazel, for me right now, my question for you is, Ecolytics, is it 100% a software solution, or is it, 80% software, 20% consulting, or something like that?
Yeah, so our platform, 100% software solution. And so really that is the scalable software solution. And we actually are scaling through some partnerships with consultants. So we find that this is a tool that can be paired really well. For example, if you're looking to get B Corp certified, there are certain parts of the certification that, writing a company mission statement and stuff like that, and a SaaS software cannot do that for you. So we're helping bring those metrics, bringing those steps to improve, but really creating those policies is something that a consultant can come in and help with, but then the software will dynamically track and keep your company on target with everything.
What does that onboarding process look like for a company getting started? Like, how many data points are there typically? How long does it take to get it to a place where you can start seeing some metrics?
Yeah, so we can get companies onboarded in less than an hour. It's really, we plug into your whatever bill management software you use. And so that allows getting that data is really valuable for a number of reasons, that we're not just getting the amount of money the companies are spending, but the amount of what they're spending it on. That all translates into carbon numbers, natural resource use. And then for social and governance, we have these templated surveys that allow companies to collect metrics from their employees, customers, and suppliers. And so that then, when they're using Ecolytics, becomes an integrated part of their onboarding of those employees, customers, or suppliers. So it then, all of these processes become more automated and aren't something that takes a ton of time for companies.
Anyone else in the audience? Let's get some questions for Hazel here. It's an interesting, solution. And I guess particularly for me, like having been in the US so long and seeing all these different solutions come up, I think something that's like quick, you can onboard quickly is really a key driver for adoption, and whether it's a company that's already reporting or looking to report. All right. Well, if you do have a question, we've got Alif here.
Hi, yeah, this is Alif. I am joining from Sweden. I was a bit late the first 10-15 minutes, so I'm not sure if this was touched upon it, but maybe Hazel can give her insights. I know that in Europe, these sustainability reportings, they're going to be driven a lot by the European Union regulations. How is it in the US? How are the government regulations there?
Great question. So it's kind of this any day now. The last spring, the SEC proposed these climate disclosure rules that will require companies to disclose their carbon numbers just like they do their financials. And so there's been some back and forth on that. And so it's not officially a rule yet, but the response of the market has been very positive, especially working in this space of companies wanting to proactively get ahead of these rules being passed. And so that will only affect public companies theoretically, but we work with a number of size of companies, mostly small and medium-sized companies, that are also getting caught up in these regulations as well, because scope 3, that's all the way down the supply chain. So if companies want to be working with any public company, they also need to know their carbon emissions. So it's been definitely a really interesting time to work in this space in the US as these regulations are pending, and seeing how businesses are really being proactive about this work too.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So currently the ESG goals, like on one of your graphs, you had the main driver for this reporting to be the ESG goals the companies set internally. So then that is something companies do proactively.
Yeah, so because there are currently no by legislative requirements for companies to have these ESG goals, that it's mostly all voluntary, but the market is showing kind of that competitive advantage. So while the regulations aren't set in stone yet, there's still that incentive for companies.
Thank you.
Yeah, good questions.
Wonderful. Well, feel free to connect with Hazel on LinkedIn. Her information, along with Selina and Alba, are in the spreadsheet. Let me drop that in one more time in case you just joined, so you can find their LinkedIn and connect with them there. Hazel, thank you so much for sharing the work that you're doing with Ecolytics, and all the best of luck. All right, let's get our next speaker in line. We've got Alba, and let me find you, Alba, so I can spotlight you. Wonderful. Alba is the co-founder and COO of Climatize, normally, but right now in Barcelona, if I remember correctly. Alba, I will pass it to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you, Hazel. Thank you, Selina, for your presentations. It's been truly inspiring. And thank you as well for all of the women here attending today. It is very exciting for me to be sharing a little bit more about our company here, Climatize. Next slide, please. Perfect. Well, let's start giving you a little bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Alba Forns, and we accidentally lost the screen share, but I think that should be fine. Well, my name is Alba Forns. I am the co-founder and the COO of Climatize. As I mentioned during the beginning of the presentation, I'm originally European. I am from Barcelona, but I decided to move to the States because of the company. Do you... Well, so I studied engineering. My background is in engineering, and I did 2 master's degrees, one in renewable energy and the other one in sustainable energy technologies. And that is how I actually connected in the first place with my co-founder. As you can see in these images here, the other person in the images is my co-founder, Will. And during that double master's degrees, we went to a climate strike. I believe it was the second week of university. And we saw 100,000 people protesting for climate action. That gave us hope and motivation, but at the same time sadness, because we knew that the next day we would all go home and nothing would be different. It cannot be that as an individual, the only thing that you can actually do is make a cardboard sign and protest. And we really wanted to find a way in which we could convert all of that collective energy into tangible climate action. And that is how Climatize was born. After the climate strike, we were sitting in a lecture room in university. We started a university project about the company, and we just decided to start an investment platform that will enable everyone to start investing into climate projects. I will explain a little bit more about that later. After coming up with the idea, we were in Barcelona for the first year, then we moved to Sweden, Stockholm. We studied at KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology, and being in Sweden was a great experience. The second image is actually Will and I, we joined an organization that's named Rena Mälaren, which in Swedish stands for Clean Lake Mälaren. And every Saturday we would go out there. It was super cold, and we would help divers put out trash from the ocean. Apart from that, I'm also pretty active in the space. I do a lot of beach cleanups when I'm in Barcelona, when I'm in Santa Cruz as well. And then the third image is actually Will and I also protesting with our cardboard signs in front of the Swedish Parliament. We actually got to meet Greta Thunberg as well, which was one of the most memorable moments of our journey, because really for us, she's always been a hero. So meeting her was pretty exciting. And after finishing our double master's degrees, we decided to move to the States to establish the company there and start taking some action. Next slide, please. Thank you. So now I will talk a little bit about Climatize and what led me to start the company here with Will. So first of all, about me, I am very passionate about climate justice and inclusion. That is my goal and mission in life, to fight for those two things. And Climatize perfectly combines both. As I mentioned, we want to change the climate narrative from all about sacrifice to an actual opportunity. And the way that we found to make this possible for everyone was to empower people to benefit from the energy transition by enabling them to invest in renewable energy projects from as little as $5. So if you were to download Climatize today, we are available in the States with iOS devices. We actually launched a week ago, so it is very recent. You can download the app, select a project that you want to contribute to, and invest from as little as $5. And again, earn a potential financial return while investing in renewable energy projects. The project that we have listed right now, we only have one project, is a community solar project that benefits low-income families in Massachusetts. So if you're curious, definitely check it out. In this first week, we have already over $100,000 invested in this project. So yeah, it is truly exciting. And personally, I just feel very proud that we are able to channel so much money into renewable energy projects. Next slide, please. And some of you may wonder, why is this important? Actually, money does move the needle, and we've seen that there's a funding gap that we need to cover if we want to achieve our climate goals. So I'm an engineer, I love data, so I had to put some numbers in here. We need $200 trillion invested between now and 2050 if we actually want to reach our net zero target goals. That is a lot of money. Like that number used to give me huge anxiety, but it's also an opportunity, and that's how we've decided to view it here at Climatize. This means that we need to triple the current annual investment that is going into climate solutions. And again, via the app, you can start from as little as $5. Another point that is worth mentioning is climate anxiety. I don't know about you, but I personally feel a lot of climate anxiety. I feel like Climatize is actually my way to fight against that and to do something tangible. I individually take a lot of action as well. I've changed my diet. I try to travel in a more sustainable way, and I do everything I can. But fighting climate anxiety is a real problem, and it does feel very frustrating to see that you can sometimes not do as much as you would like to. So that's another thing that we're here to fight against. Next slide, please. And then about the magic wand, I would love to have this power. Honestly, this is a great question. If I had one, and I had to mention Greta again because she's truly impressive, I would turn the blah 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 that she talked about back in 2021. I believe it was for the Youth for Climate Summit. So we would like to change that blah 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 into actual action, because we've heard a lot of world leaders, politicians talk about taking climate action, but when it comes to the moment of actually taking that action, they are falling short on their promises. So that would be the first point. We need policy, we need everything to be there in place to support renewable energy and decarbonization. So that is truly important. And the next point is making the energy transition a just transition, because when we talk about climate justice, it's not only about climate, it goes way beyond that. We're talking about the people. So it is frustrating to see how those who've done little to contribute to the problem are often the ones who are suffering the most from it. And just enabling those people to actually be part of the energy transition and to ensure that there's equity in the process is very, very important. So that point had to be there as well. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, thanks. And then, well, I mean, I'm finishing up here. I wanted to really send a message of support. That would be my first point. If you're a woman in the climate space, or who's just getting started, or you just need someone to talk to, honestly, feel free to reach out to me at any point. I know how hard it can be to get started. Sometimes there's a lot of information out there. You just don't know who to talk to, where to start. So shoot me a text on LinkedIn, via email. I've left my email there as well if you prefer to use that, and I will do my best to help you. So I'm here to support you. And then the last one would be just asking for feedback. I love feedback. That is what always helps us improve, especially negative feedback. So if you want to criticize, that's even better. Just check out Climatize. Let me know what you think and connect. That is all from my end. Thank you all for listening, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Alba. First of all, I wanted to call out that every speaker has given the other speakers a shout out. Like, this is so nice and so lovely, and it just happened very organically. And second of all, thank you, Alba, for making yourself available for other women to connect with you. It is a very lonely place and a very difficult place, trying to break through all the noise and trying to create a solution that can have genuine impact. So, I think we all need as much support as possible. So thank you for that. Let's see what questions we have in the chat here. I'm also going to just take a quick peek at the spreadsheet, but I guess, Alba, what is the roadmap for adding more projects to Climatize?
Actually, very, very soon. So I was calling one of our developers before jumping on this presentation, and we're coming with 2 projects following the one that we actually have currently right now. There are also solar projects, and one of them is for a Shakespeare theater and the other one is for a synagogue. So we will be announcing that real soon here, probably beginning of June. So I will let you know when that happens.
Got it. We have a question from Maggie asking if you have plans to expand to Android in the future.
Yes, we do. And we've had this question a lot lately. One of the women who started using our app, who I don't know, by the way, reached out to me on LinkedIn, and she asked me, hey, when are you going to launch on Android? And I was like, why do you ask that if you've already made an investment? Like, you have an iPhone? And she was like, no, I actually don't. Like, I had to look for my husband's old phone to just make an investment. I just want to have it in my phone. And it was, for me, truly exciting to see that someone actually made the effort of going and looking for their husband's old phone to actually make an investment and a contribution. So because we've seen a lot of interest, we're probably going to launch that real soon. But for now, we're only in the States and only iOS. So I don't have an exact date, but I will also keep you posted.
I have another question. Is this like a real investment, meaning you can get returns from it, or is this like more a donation?
Yeah, it is an investment, so there's the potential return. Right now, the project that we have listed on the app has an 8% return rate. It's a 5-year term. And all of the information that you need is in the app. So there's a document that's called the Form C that covers everything that you need. If you want to make a diligence of that project, we perform a diligence as well. And we just make that information available for everyone to be able to make an informed decision before actually making a commitment.
Awesome. Anyone else in the audience would like to ask Alba a question? And as you're thinking, I do have a question, Alba. What's Greta like?
She's shy. So that was surprising. We were also very shy, to be honest. Like my co-founder and I arrived and we were like, oh, what are we going to tell Greta? And then when we actually met her, we were like, hey, Greta, nice to meet you. Like we couldn't even say like, wow, so impressive. Congratulations for everything you've achieved. Like we didn't even say that. We just said hi. And we kept seeing her every single Friday for a year. So it's not like we've only seen her once, but yeah, she's shy. She doesn't like to be the center of attention. She really looks out for the rest of the group and the rest of the climate activists. So it's not only her, there's a huge team over there. And yeah, she's just very sweet and shy, which was surprising.
Cool. Great. Well, Alba, thank you so much for sharing about Climatize, and congratulations on your launch. It's always like a huge deal as a founder, especially a woman in climate founder. And if you are in a position to check out Alba's app, Alba, you're welcome to add in, links into the chat there. Selina and Hazel as well. If there's any links that you want to just pop into the chat there, you're welcome to. This concludes the speaker portion, and we have 5 minutes left. Again, if you're in a position to buy us coffee, we would really appreciate it at Women in Climate. It helps us keep the organization running. We are all volunteers here, and hopefully at some point that might change. But thank you for joining us today. And what is next is there is a survey. We'd love to hear from you so we can continue making this better. Previously, CATALYZE was part presentations and part networking, but what we've decided to do is make CATALYZE all presentations so that we can give more women opportunities to speak. We want to do this quarterly, and we also want to have a monthly sort of like open networking and looking for ideas. So if that's something that you're interested in, we're looking for volunteers to help us kind of set up a framework for that. So you're welcome to reach out to me on Slack or whatever means you have. And if you're interested in speaking at a future CATALYZE, you are welcome to submit a form. There is a link in the Google Doc there, and also links to everything else. But I'm going to stick around for another 3 minutes. So if you want to come off mute, if you want to say hello, you are more than welcome to.
Sorry, did someone put up their hand?
I believe Elif did.
Okay, Elif, if you want to go first, and then I can go.
I don't think I did. Maybe I never raised it down. Oh, okay, I never raised. Sorry.
Then I will jump in real quickly here. It's something that Michelle, you mentioned during the beginning of the presentation, the speaker database. I actually signed up for that yesterday, and I would just encourage everyone to do it because I've been speaking at a couple of panels, and just being out there as a woman talking about especially something like climate, which is truly important in this day and age, is very inspiring for other people who might want to make the transition but don't have the capacity, the means, or like the courage to actually make that step. So I would just encourage everyone to sign up, to give it some visibility, because I do think that it is very important to just give women a microphone and be able to share our experiences. So just wanted to share that, since I thought it is a very cool opportunity and it's a great tool.
Cool. Thank you, Alba. I think so too. Yes, feel free to create a speaker profile, share it with your organization or any events that you know might be happening. We do have a quick question for you, actually, Alba. Is Climatize a nonprofit?
I was actually going to write that down. No, we're not a nonprofit. We're a for-profit company.
Got it. Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We're right at the minute mark and I'm really excited for our next one. So look out, it'll probably be in about 3 months. And again, if you have some extra time, I've got projects that I'd love to work on, including a monthly meetup. So